of the week where most people dread, but we are in the motion of getting excited about life. So look, if you are watching this on the replay, put hashtag replay. If you're watching this live, put hashtag live and start commenting and start sharing. Yeah, you do the same as well, Adam. Let's get this baby shared out there on our timelines. So usually it starts coming up and you're gonna have to silence it. But yeah, this is super important. So whoever's watching it right now, start commenting. Let me know who you are. Yes, Manal, hello. So start tagging some people. I'll tell you guys earlier because we've got a competition. You want to win some real life merchandise? Could be phone case, could be cushions, leggings, could be cups, all sorts of blankets, all kind of nice things to keep you warm. Yeah. Hello, Liliana. So you got to share it on your timeline to be in for a chance to win. You got to share it on your timeline. If you're in the real life tribe, you tag 10 people in, 10 people out of the tribe. If you're not in the real life tribe, or you don't even know what I'm talking about no tribe, and it makes you think of cowboys and Indians, then just tag 10 people. That's all you've got to do. And then at the end of this show, if you have done those things, we will be picking a winner. So get this shared, guys. Let me know when it's shared. Have you shared it? Awesome. Yeah, Liliana, you look fantastic in those leggings. As I think many people will agree. I don't even know how to share this thing. How do you work this thing then? I don't even know how to do this. How do you do it? Facebook has changed.
Can't even find it. Oh, there we go.
How do you share it? I don't even know how to do it anymore. Oh my goodness. I don't know how to do it. Do you know how to do it? Put it in there. Yeah, guys. I'm sure you got, oh, here we go, share, but it wants me to just share it to a group. I don't want to share it to a group. I want to share it on my timeline. How do I share it on my timeline? Does anybody know? Are you sharing it on your timeline? Let me know if you shared it on your timeline. And by the way, we're going to be talking about how do you increase the value of your property? Who's interested in knowing some very clever strategies of how to increase the value of your property? I'm talking value of the asset itself, but also the value of the income. Yeah, who put in the comments? Who wants to know? I don't want to know specifically, you know, what is it you want to know and how much do you actually want to know this? How much you actually want to know how to increase the value, rental and your refinance value or your selling value or just the value of the asset for the balance sheet, which as business people is very important. I have, I'm not going to say quit. I have chosen to divert my attention from attempting to share the post to being here to make sure we give the most value. Yeah. So, hey, you want to increase the value? Let me know. Let me know in the comments if you want to increase the value of property, because we're going to get, and do you actually want to know some specific strategies on how to make this happen? Do you want to do that? You let us know, because also, who is already in property investing? Let us know. Yeah, who wants to get in property investing? Let us know in there. And also, when it comes to deals, who would love to know how to maximize space, maximize rooms, maximize through looking at the floor plans? We had some awesome inquiries within our Property Investors with Real Life Facebook group this week. Big conversations, big talking points. So it's going to be so amazing to get that done. So get tagging some people. So now you guys are on it, I'll let you know. So you could be in for a chance to win some merchandise. It could be t-shirts, hoodies, vests, gym vests, cups, phone cases, blankets, even these neck snugs. I don't know what they're called. Scarf. I mean, I used to call it a scarf, but apparently it's not a scarf anymore. These things, yeah. So you get to choose, by the way, the winner. So you need to share it on your timeline. You need to tag 10 people in the tribe, 10 people out of the tribe. If you don't know what I'm talking about when I'm saying tribe, just tag 10 people. And then if you have fit that criteria and you're still here at the end of this show, we will be selecting a winner. And you then will be contacted and you can pick whatever merchandise you want. So it's an early Easter present for you. I think presents are super important. And now I want to introduce someone who has been with us before, but it wasn't the Real Life Money Monday panel then. So if you've got any questions about increasing the value, floor plans, architectural work, planning permission, any of the processes around planning applications or anything to do with that, Adam is the guy to be able to ask. And let's rinse him of information this evening. So start getting your questions in. Or maybe you just want like a kind of step-by-step process. But Adam, give us some stats, give us a nice introduction of some of the work and the jobs that you've been doing and that you're doing and that you've lined up so people know what questions to ask you.
Yeah, that's it. So I'm Adam Wilson. We started Wilson Architects about 3 years ago now. We primarily do a lot of sort of HMO projects, residential extensions and loft conversions, things like that, where we're all trying to extend and maximize the property or building that you've got. We also do commercial conversions. So a lot of it might be taking a pub or taking a shop or offices or things like that. And whether it be turning it into residential or turning it into other things that become a lot more attractive than what they were previously. We also do new build sites. So we've done a few student accommodation blocks. We've got one at the moment where we are turning an old pub into a 50-bed student accommodation site in Loughborough. We've got other sites like that. And basically there's anything that's turning into residential, that's our game really.
Awesome. So look, guys, if you got any questions on these subjects, anything that you're doing, you might be converting, it might be something very simple, it might be something a little bit more complex. Adam has helped us personally in our property journey, from building new houses to helping us through planning in Article 4 areas, knowing how to maximize the space, making sure that we can be very specific and give a clear specification for the job so we can be clear on our build quotes, our drawdowns for development finance. All of these things come into play, and it's good to have the right people in your team. Yeah, so I'm going to put it out there right now. Today I want to touch on the two sides of the sword. I want to touch on the side of the sword that is awesome, that is what you need, that helps you through the process, that makes you more money, increases the value of your property, increases the value of your rent, and just literally gets the most out of the job and helps speed the process up. But we're also going to look at the side of if you don't do this properly, whether you have an architect or planning person involved or not, there are many scenarios where, people might not be following the process, might not be taking it seriously, might not be understanding, might not be listening, might not be learning from, mistakes or lessons that they're required to learn from. And we're going to see both sides of the coin. As a very famous person once said, true intelligence is when you can hold two opposing thoughts in the mind and still be able to function. Yeah, so that is what we want to be able to do today, but also help you guys set off on your journey so you make the right moves in your property investing journey. So let's get straight into the thick of it. What is the things that people must know and must understand if they want to maximize the project, like the investment project? Like I'm just thinking, getting plans together, not necessarily going through planning permission, but how would I know to include that due diligence in my project? Like, what are the top things that people must know? Like, not luxury stuff, but they must know this. They cannot forget this. Do not ignore this. What would you say they are, Adam?
I'd say the process is absolutely critical, because ultimately the process is down to how much time the project takes. Obviously, time is money, and if a project takes you 6 months from start to finish, or it takes you 6 years start to finish, there's a hell of a lot more that you can do in those 6 years than just one project. So it's knowing when to get the right information at the right time and bringing the right people in. For example, we've had, a lot of people buy a property and say to us, right, we've had an offer accepted. What do we do? And it's at that point where we'll do a set of initial sketch draft plans, which is enough to get the lending ongoing, and mortgage broker can start their process with those plans quickly, instead of waiting for a whole set of technical drawings all done and dusted, which might take us 5, 6, 7 weeks to do, which is then taking longer and taking, you know, a lot longer time to actually buy and even start the project.
Yeah. So you talk about process. So let's just do some big milestone points that people can maybe make some notes on and say, what are these little checkpoints or milestones that I must I need them to be highlighted to me. So I this is what I need to pay attention to as I'm preparing all of this and going through.
So first of all, find out if you need planning or not, because that is a long old process, or it can be a long old process. So if you know that you need planning, that needs starting as soon as possible. The other process is just knowing exactly how you can maximize that property and know where you're going with it. So if you, I don't know, say you pick up an office and you think, right, okay, I can get 10, 12 flats in here if we do it this way, that's fine. But if you, on the flip side, then said, okay, well, let's try and do bigger flats and we can only get 8 or 9, that has a totally different planning strategy there. And it's those early questions and knowing where you're actually going that you need to think of first. So number one would be finding out exactly where you're going and what your end goal is going to be. Once you've got that end goal, figuring out, do you need planning for it? Figuring out how you're going to finance it. And then starting those processes as early as possible. And then thirdly, finding out how you're going to build it and who's going to do it, and getting those things in place.
Yes. So, I mean, they are some very broad termed checkpoints, but definitely you need to be educating on all of these things. So guys, if you've got any questions of where to go or what we're talking about here, then do put these questions in and we'll get them, as many of the ones answered here as possible. So put hashtag live if you're watching it live, put hashtag replay if you're watching it on the replay, because then we know whether to get you, whether we may have answered your question live or we need to catch up through comments and maybe do some other videos that you could go ahead and see on, you know, YouTube. Go to Real Life Groups YouTube channel, make sure you subscribe on there. So here's some questions then, Adam. So now we've said these are the things you need to look out for. What are some of the disastrous mistakes? First of all, before we go into like the checkpoints, what people need to look out for, what's the biggest blooper in all, you know, that you've seen? What's been the biggest oh my god, like this, either blew the project up and it was the end of the game, or it was just a massive hole in the pocket? What was?
So for me, it was one of those exact things where they were just about to, there was a client that was just about to exchange on a property, and then it was, the mortgage offer was almost there, and it was, oh, does this need planning? And they came to us with the site and said, oh, we're thinking of doing this. What do we need to do? It's like, yeah, you need planning. So then that put everything back by 3 months, which, yeah, it was a nightmare. It really was. But because added to that, obviously, the pressure of getting everything over the line, it just made everything stressful for everyone. So, that's probably one of the major things that we had go wrong. We've had problems on site and things like that, but all of those things can generally be overcome. But it's just having everything to start off with all in the right place, really.
Yeah, absolutely. So got a couple of questions coming through, so I'm going to put them on the screen so we can answer those in a moment. But like ultimately what it's going to come down to, and as you know, because you've been, you know who Real Life are, you've been to our real training events. We were just talking about that. It's not about talking about on the treadmill. It's about running on the treadmill and sweating, baby. It's like doing the work. So, you know, we do training, like real training events where we get our hands dirty and we find the deals and we raise the finance and we go through these processes that you're talking about. Yeah. And one of the things that we have taught and done and trained and done in real life is, and even training programs, we've found deals that are in Article 4 areas. Yeah. So here's a question here, because we've done this ourselves, right? And I actually lost count of how many deals we've done in Article 4 areas. And sometimes people say, stay away from this. Yeah. Well, here's my version. My version is, it's easy when you know how. Yeah. So what's your advice and what's your opinion about working, in or out of Article 4 areas?
Yeah, I think it is exactly that. It's knowing what you're up against and knowing what you need to know. If you're working in an Article 4 area, what are the things that planners, and what is the reason for that Article 4? So an Article 4 is to limit how many HMOs are there. It might be to limit other things. An Article 4 might be because it's in a conservation area or, a specific area of importance. So an Article 4, from a HMO point of view, is limiting the amount of HMOs in a particular area because there's either too many at the minute, because it's a sensitive area, or because there's not enough parking or issues like that. So when it comes to looking at a property, those are the things that you need to be thinking about. How many HMOs are in that area? If you're on a street and there's 10 already on there, well, you're probably not going to get planning for it because there's already 10 on the street, and you don't want a street full of HMOs. If you're looking at an area that's got no parking, if you're trying to put a 10-bed HMO on a street, I know a lot of HMOs don't have cars, but there's going to be some people that do. So have you thought about how, where those cars are going to be parked and how's it going to impact the neighbours? Another big thing, which whether it's an Article 4 area or not, is the neighbours. The neighbours are, they can make or break a HMO project. And we've had, I'm sure there's countless people who will be able to pick up on this, that if you get on with the neighbours and you help them and you educate them as to what a HMO actually is, there's plenty of neighbours and people out there that have lived in terrace houses for 20-30 years, and they've had landlords come and buy a house next to them and turn it into like a slum or a substandard living. And obviously HMOs nowadays are not like that. They've got nicer facilities than I've got in my house.
Not all of them. Well,
there should be. Anyway, any that us or we work on, that's for sure. But this is it, that if you educate the neighbours and help to explain to them that, we're providing this type of accommodation to someone that could be your family member. It could be someone that is trying to save for a house deposit, or they've just moved to an area and they've got a new job and they need somewhere that's affordable, and they've got, so it helps them get on their feet. Then a HMO is exactly the type of accommodation for that. And they need to be everywhere. You can't just have HMOs all on one street tucked away, in the edge of a city. They've got to be everywhere. So that is the biggest part of it. And if you get the neighbours on board, planning is a breeze because everyone's happy and in support of it.
Yeah. We made a bit of a blunder a couple of times by not engaging with the neighbours or the people on the street. Yeah. And like you say, it does cause, it's never stopped us from doing any projects, but it has caused a headache and just things that you don't need to deal with. But something as simple as just knocking a few doors up one side and a few doors up the other, and across the road, just a few doors, you'll very quickly start to figure out what type of street is it, what type of community is it, are people interested in this type of thing or are they not? And be able to give, like you say, this information that takes people away from the stereotype. And it's something so simple. And that's why we always talk about doing it. Experience is the only teacher. You could read as many books as you want. You could, go to as many talks, which are just the seminar type things where, people are just talking and speakers coming and all of that. But you got to get into the work. You got to do the work. And it's only when you start doing the work, you realize what the real deal is all about. Mm-hmm. Yeah. One of the real deals is regarding our next question. which is sometimes with the process of planning, sometimes it gets put to committee. Yeah, so this is a question here. What's your advice around having your planning go to committee? Do you have any advice on how to prepare? Now, a lot of people get very, I don't know, fearful or anxious around this process. And I think just because, you know, they don't either have the training as of yet, or, you know, emotion goes up. So, so intelligence goes down, and it's one of those things that we're conditioned to do by society. Like, oh, if a governing body says something, then that's the end of that. That must be true. Yeah, or you know, if they've got it in for me, and I think people start manifesting all the bad things. So how can you set some people straight here, Adam, and actually give us the reality of what going to committee actually even means, and how to deal with that?
Yeah, so committee is ultimately it puts your application to a vote by the councillors, and the councillors are all voted in by the neighbours and everyone else. So they have the neighbours and the area's best interests at heart. So they're doing what's right for that particular area that your application's in. So that's it. If you're going to committee, you need to effectively present your application as being beneficial to that area. You know, you're not saying that we're going to, you know, they're looking at whether it's detrimental in some way, and whether it be because of parking or be because of the amount of noise or whatever it is. So when you're presenting, if you've got to go and speak at committee or whatever it might be, it's trying to bring it down to that human level again and saying, look, we're not horrible landlords from out of town, just don't care about everyone who's around there. We are trying to make the area better, and hence why we've applied to do this. And I mean, you can even, you know, speak to the councillors before it goes to committee and find out what their concerns are. You know, planning is politics, and if you talk to people and get everyone in support of what you want to do, then it makes things so much easier.
And hey, listen, anybody who's watching, been on any training, been in our tribe, knows our culture. This is why it's so important to do the right thing for the right reason. Because ultimately, you know, Harvey Property Solutions Group, yeah, the development aspect, you know, our company, is the mission is to raise the standard of living, providing luxury, secure accommodation. Yeah, so having that mission always in mind helps us come up with our goals and our targets and the type of products that we want to bring to the market. So like you say, if we ever find ourselves, which we have many times, going to committee, when we ever find ourselves, yeah, we can sit there and happily with conviction and confidence just talk about what it is exactly we are doing, because it is all based around raising the standard of living. And ultimately, just another thing in addition to what you say, to be all prepared, is like committees, councils, you know, the government, they have targets. They have targets, and they want to incentivize anybody to work with them towards hitting their targets. Like one of the things, and by the way, thousands of pounds that we got out of this incentive, which is to like stop homes being empty and just rotting away, going moldy, and, you know, looking like an eyesore. Yeah, so they actually have a grant, which is an empty homes grant. Yeah, and sometimes they, depending on the council, depending on the situation, sometimes they just give you the money. Yeah, some like low amounts of money, but sometimes it's an interest-free loan that they will give you. Yeah, so as much as like that is one example, there are many different incentives that they want to give you. So it is about understanding what's the targets here. Is it increasing the rooms, the amount of housing? Is it providing housing with a certain number of parking spaces? Is it, you know, towards some kind of rehabilitation of the area? Like, have you got any other examples, Adam, of what people could, to give people some ideas of incentives that people have?
Speaking to social housing providers is definitely one, because that in itself, you know, I don't know if there's a lot of homeless in a particular area, and there's, you know, a need for that type of accommodation, having that or saying that you're working with a social housing provider or a charity, that goes a long way, because you're actually trying to help, you know, a problem that's in that area. So that definitely helps with planning.
Awesome. Well, we've got a few questions here. So before I bring up the next question, I'll just remind you, anybody who's watching right now, there's a competition. You get some real life merchandise from our shop. Yeah, it could be phone case and cups and clothes, everything. Yeah, so you've got to share it on your timeline. So do that. And then you've got to tag at least 10 people in the tribe, 10 people out of the tribe. If you don't know what the tribe is, just tag 10 people. And at the end of this show, we'll be picking a winner. So where did that question go? Got a question here. Hey, this is a good question. I like this question. Hey, look at this. Can't your architect or planning consultant and solicitor put you straight of everything early doors every time?
I wish. Well, we can do what we can. It's really difficult because things change. You know, it's if there was one guy that did all the architect stuff, all the planning stuff, all the solicitors, all the mortgage brokers, you know, then maybe he could. I don't know.
I think he's talking about the tooth fairy. Yeah, that's a possibility, Richard. Let us know if you're talking about tooth fairy or not. But I think here's what you're saying. You know, things change. What this game is about, what any game is about, it's about setting sail. You know, most people, they want to talk about how they're going to adjust their sails while they're parked in the dock. You know, I'm going to do this and this planning and a Brexit and this house market and this rental and, you know, crash in the marketplace and all of this. From the dock, from the sideline. You know, I don't know. I'm not able to recreate it, but I don't know if you've ever seen the Lee Evans thing where he's talking about the guy who's in the sideline giving it like, hey, come on, referee or manager, do this. And like he turns around to him and it's like, okay, you decide. Yeah. So it's like people from the sidelines who are not doing it, they got all these things to say. So as much as it would be nice to know everything and be set straight from early doors, listen, when you set sail, the wind can change direction. And what does that mean? All it means is that you got to change your sail. You got to adjust your sail. And that's what's beautiful. And what I like to do, and we do, and this is what we train people to do, is work from principles, not like techniques or, you know, this is the rule, so play the game based on doing it exactly like that. Because one big example was like people who set about their business needing to be able to refinance and pretty much immediately or on the same day for their strategy to work. And when that rule changed, a lot of people were screwed. Yeah. And similar, when people are like, oh, you know, I must get this exact evaluation. And if I don't get that exact evaluation, then I'm screwed. I can't sell the deal. It don't work for me. I owe investors money and all of this stuff. You know, that's not about relying on that exact technique or regulation. It's about working to principles. So Richard, what you're saying is, can everything be set out from the off? Property is one of the best things that I've seen where we can actually have a few options of how to get in and how to get out. And that can all be kind of understood before you even get in the deal. But the truth is, when you get in the deal, that's when you got to adjust your sales. I mean, we've started many a project as a flip, and then all of a sudden we turn it in a HMO. You know, we started off as a HMO that we thought we were going to keep, you know, for 10 years until we reviewed, and we sold it. You know, we sold it after 2 months of rental. We've sold them after 2 years of renting it out. You know, it's about adjusting the sales. You never know what's going to come up. Nobody could have predicted what happened in 2020 and, you know, the market. But if you ask me, you know,
and your circumstances change all the time as well. You know, you might suddenly have found a deal that's 10 times better than the one that you had 6 months ago. So it's worth selling it on to, you know, to go on for the next one. It's, you know, it's staying flexible as well.
Exactly. And there are principles like this next question. It's good to answer this. I don't know how much of it's going to fit up on the screen, but I'll read it all out. So what it's saying here is, have any HMO applicants in Birmingham, which is an Article 4 area, I think it's only just, last year, become Article 4, have they been successful or not? Most people are scared to apply for this as they could be the first one to test the process and are concerned regarding wasting fees. What do you reckon?
I think, again, it depends on the project, on the house itself. It depends on the area. We had one that was...
So far, though, is there any experience so far that you know or know of where people in Birmingham have already tested the water to see if they can get an application through just because it is so new?
I haven't seen any. We did one that was, as it was turning into an Article 4 area, the application was in for a larger extension because you could do it under permitted development. They then said that because the application went over the June period when it turned into an Article 4, they'd have to assess it based on being a HMO. And as a result of that, it dropped from a 6 to a 5 bed. But not a straight application through. I haven't experienced any yet. No.
Just before we move on answering this question further, something just came to mind because I remembered this. One of the first questions that said, "What about Article 4?" People say stay away from it. What I've seen, which is a terrible mistake in my eyes, but I could be wrong. But the way we like to plan our businesses, we bought and converted many HMOs outside of Article 4 area. But we do them to the standard. Of as if it is going to be Article 4, as if it does require a license. Why? 2 reasons. One, the safety of the people. The reason that there's regulations is to have the safety of the people living there. Number one.
Totally.
And to raise the standard of living, providing luxury secure accommodation. And the second thing is, if it ever does come around, there's no work required. We're ready to go, baby.
Yeah.
And a lot of people make a mistake. Number one, they stay away from Article 4. But if they don't know what they're doing, they're probably best to do that until they come on some real training. But to stay away from Article 4 and just do it, willy-nilly or haphazardly, just because you don't have to abide by, anything, because you don't need it licensing and all of that. Later on, that's gonna, then someone like us are going to come and have to buy a property for dirt cheap price. Because you're not going to know what to do with it.
I had this exact conversation today with a client because they were debating whether to do a loft conversion or not. So you could squeeze 6 bedrooms in at ground and first floor, or they were debating, should I go in the loft and then we'll apply for a 7 bed, or if worst case, we've got more space to use as a 6. And I said exactly that the thing is that in 5 years or 10 years, you don't know what the regulations are going to be. They might suddenly say that all bedrooms need to be 15 square meters to rent them out. So then if you've already done all the build work and you haven't got that space, then what happens? You've either got to lose bedrooms or, it just doesn't work. So having the opportunity now to maximize a property in as much space as possible just gives you, it gives you an opportunity to rent out as much as you can right now, but also gives you that flexibility in the future that if anything was to change, you can do it easily without costing yourself too much and costing, in voids and all that sort of stuff. So
yeah, good. So we've got some questions there we need to get through this. So let's just finish off on that Article 4 in Birmingham. So the thing is, I'm going to put my side. Let's just make it short and snappy though, Adam. My side is, I don't feel it's any different to any other just because it's new. At the end of the day, there's still incentives, there's still goals, and there's still targets that need to be hit. And Article 4, with it being new, doesn't mean that it's going to be, highly overly saturated, because there's areas that have had Article 4 in for years that are still having applications go through. So it just means it's done in a more controlled way. In a way, it's better. well, I'm just talking from my perspective, it's been better because there's less people trying to, get in your way and, be in the competition.
Massively. It's just it's spending more time on finding the right deal. That's all.
Yeah. Okay, good. So that's that wrapped up. So let's have a look at this. So how is it that you look at flat conversions? Do you have a rule of thumb on the standard property size, into X amount of flats, or how many parking spaces required? Also, what's the minimum square meter size for a studio versus 1-bed flats?
Okay, so parking spaces depends entirely council to council. If you look at their local plan, most councils have like a highways design guide or something like that, which will tell you how many parking spaces they want for say a 1-bed flat or a 2-bed flat or whatever it is. Do you have a rule of thumb on a standard property size into flats? So that's the size of the property. I mean, as of April, they are bringing in national space standards for converting. So you've got to allow 37 square meters for a 1-bed flat, or 39 if you want a bath. I think it's 52 for a 2-bed. So when you're looking at an area of a building, if you look at the gross meterage, if it's 150 square meters, you can get 3 2-bed flats in. If it's 100 square meters, you can get 3 1-beds in. You've always got to allow for circulation, for stairs and bits and bobs, but as a rule of thumb, sort of take those sort of rough ideas.
Awesome. Nice value there. Yeah, nice value. So the next question, look, new build developments, how long does it generally take for the planning process based on the size of the plots or number of units?
Okay, so anything up to 9 plots or 9 new properties is classed as a minor application. So that's an 8-week planning process. With housing, there can be things like CIL, Community Infrastructure Levy, or a Section 106, where the council will ask for a certain contribution to things like infrastructure or education or anything to do with the community itself. Those are the things that can be negotiated, and they can take more time than that 8 weeks because there's the solicitors and legals involved to agree that. Anything above 10 units, that's when it becomes a major application. That's when it's a 13-week process. But again, you've still got those same sort of bits that can negotiate. You could have issues to do with highways or services or anything like that. So that can make it take longer.
Yeah. Good. Hey, that sets it out. That's a good place to start from. What I like about this next question, don't know if so that is, I have no idea. Well, the next question is let me bring this up. Heidi, what a nice question. Hey, listen, this is how this question is written. Yeah, I'm just gonna paraphrase. What does an architect even add to a project? What services do I have?
We don't do anything. Oh, we can do everything and more, that's for sure. No, we can, as an architect, we can obviously maximize the space from a design point of view. We can advise on a strategy, whether it's, like I said about the planning strategy. We can help with, once you've got planning and you've owned the property and you're ready to start, there is the whole process of finding the right builder and making sure that everything that they're pricing for is included in your fee, in your quote, because there's things where, I'm sure, how many people have had a project that's either been delayed or there's been extra costs throughout it because the builder's not included it, or the builder's not got a contract that's tying them in to a certain deadline. Those are the sort of things that an architect can help with as a project goes through. And then even once you're on site, an architect can come out, check that the work's been done properly. If things are wrong, we act as a bit of a mediator, I guess. So, if we come to site and see that there's something that's been built wrong, we have the power to say, look, Mr. Builder, that needs remediating, that needs doing properly. And we can get that to, which obviously protects you and the tenants that are going to be living in there afterwards. So yeah, a whole host of things we can do.
Yeah. And I think I'm just going to speak from my own experience. I like, the speed. Yeah, because at the end of the day, whatever happens, you can always find it out, especially when you follow the principles that real life teach, and we're using principles that have always worked, they always will work. So it's not based on how it works right now in the market, because who knows how the market's going to be. But really, for me, I think it's the time of, number one, I don't have to do the communication. I don't have to go figure out this rule or that regulation or this person or that person or what. But it's also like what I would refer to as when I first started, when I left school, I was in construction, yeah? And we used to say the phrase tricks of the trade, yeah? And it's like the tricks of the trade, some of those can be priceless in time and money.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's like, how does it stack up? And what's more important to you, your time or your money?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, too much time turns into the money, costing the money anyway.
Yeah.
Going through planning, let's say something's not quite right, gets refused, it comes back, there's more discussion, there's more negotiation, what happened, blah, blah, blah. Like all of this stuff can happen. So for me, you're paying for the experience as well. That's what I would say.
Thing is as well, we can, if we spend an extra week designing something, we could save 4 or 5 weeks on site, because if a builder is on site thinking, I've cut a hole in this wall now, if I'd just figured out that there's something behind there, or figured out if I'd done it this way instead, then we wouldn't be in this problem, and then wouldn't have to fill that wall back in and move it again, and all those things. It's just planning and making sure that it's done properly first time.
Awesome. So great question, Heidi. Thank you for that question. Yeah, Adam loved that question. It made him a bit sweaty, I think. Yeah. So what's this one, Jerry? So this is a long one, so I don't think it's going to fit on there. So let me just put it on there. So what we got here then? I've applied for planning for an 8-bed 3 generous HMO. Yeah, what's he saying now? I've now been waiting over 14 weeks for a decision. Was told it normally takes about 8 weeks. I've rang the council, loads, escalated it about 10 times. Well, I don't know where you're up to now if you've escalated it 10 times. Who are you speaking to, Boris? Yeah. But I've not had a single response from the planning officer, and we need an answer for our lender, as they won't release the funds until the planning has been approved. What can we do?
You could raise a phase 1 complaint, which if you go on to, I don't know who the council is, but on their website, there will be a complaints procedure. Once you've submitted that complaint, they have 7 days to respond, where they have to at least give you a reason why things are taking longer, or basically giving you some kind of response. So I'd do that as a first protocol. If you've got an architect or a planning consultant on board, then get them to do it instead. And at least then that gives them a nudge and a push to find out what's going on. Ultimately, planning is difficult, especially at the moment, because people are working from home, they're taking longer to respond to things. And so they ultimately you want the approval, and if you're bothered about timeframes, they can just issue a refusal, which obviously you don't want. So trying to nudge them in the right way, but being as diplomatic as you can, because you don't want to get them on the wrong side, and go from there.
Yeah, awesome, good. And then this, I don't think this is a question. Let me just go back to this one. I like this one. So I have used Adam 25 plus times, and have to say that I am totally distraught with the unreliable no, I'm kidding. So, no, this one's good. Look, use you 24 times, reliable service every time. The learnings that he learns from each of his projects, he reapplies to all the client work that adds value in itself. So I think what's being said here as well is like what we were talking about earlier. Can you be set straight from the outset every time? I mean, listen, we can do what we can do, but then, it comes down to, if something comes up, at least we know we adjust the sail. Now we've set sail, we adjust it, and then we have to go again. So that's a huge side. But I'll give you a chance to say thank you to this person.
I appreciate it, Umesh. Thanks very much.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely great, promising. Yeah, and I just want to say something from someone who has built many businesses from scratch into multi-million-pound companies. Building teams is key. And what I love about property is everything is already there. But then the team building is a key aspect of it, because, you know, builders are there, architects are there, the councils are there, the products are already there, the demand's definitely there. Solicitors, brokers, lenders, all these people are already there, and it's about bringing it all together. And some people, what they can get wrapped up in is, it was that person's fault. Oh, they said this, they let me down, this happened, that happened. And we're not going to go into the whole mechanism of why that's happening to certain people in the first place. But what it does come down to is the communication lines between the people involved to the different aspects have to be crystal clear. Yeah. And like, we've worked together many times, Adam. Yeah. And it's not always gone straightforward, but I don't think I've had any problem. Like, I like to cut to the chase. I'm a straight talking guy.
Yeah.
You know, I like to beat around the bush. I don't want to dwell on, you know, saying it's his fault, it's her fault, it's that's fault. It's like, what we're going to do about it. And I think a lot of time people might want to put a case together to prove a situation to be the way they want it to be, rather than, like, let's put it this way. If I'm speaking with you and there is a bit of an upsy-daisy, yeah, if I try and frame you to just say that you're wrong, versus hey, listen, Adam, like, what we're going to do about it? How do we fix this? So what's the quickest way out of this? What's the quickest solution here? And I think if people just operate in a way of doing that, rather than an attempt to protect their own ass because they're like, well, I've spent that money and I want to get that money back then. Rather than finding a way out of the situation.
Yeah.
What advice would you have to people to, you know, stop them from making silly mistakes like that?
I think that's it. I think, like you say, communication from the off, and saying, right, even getting to the point where you say, right, it's understanding whose responsibility is what. So we've had it before where if we're involved in a project, there might also be a project manager, there might also be a site foreman, then there's the builders on site. And it's knowing who's responsible for what. And that way, then, you know, I know we've spoken before in the past as well about, right, well, that's not, you know, we don't need to talk about that bit because that's someone else's role to deal with. I'm not interested in that bit because I know they can deal with that problem. So what we're bothered about is how we, you know, strategy wise, how we're going to go and what's the next way forward. So yeah, I think that's sort of the main way to get through it, really.
Awesome. We've got a few questions, so we're going to quick fire some now, Adam. Yeah, and one of them is, I think it means, what social housing companies do you recommend in Birmingham? Do you have any?
I don't, to be honest. If you go on the council website, you could put in community supported living in Birmingham or wherever. They will have a number of care providers or social housing providers, and there's a list there of people that you can ring up, speak to, and, you know, build that relationship with, and then go from there.
Yeah, awesome. I like this question, and I've got an answer to it. I don't know what your answer is, but Heidi's saying, is there a service I can do prior to putting planning in, because I might not want to use Adam's services because I'm not sure of the quality of or the reliability of it. Now, this is the one I was asking about. What can an architect bring? But this is also good. This is a great question. I'm loving this question because, you know, before I pay having floor plans done up, is there any due diligence pretty much to make sure that I can do to make sure the project is viable, like some kind of health check or some initial service? Yes, there is. Yes, there absolutely is. And we do this on all of our projects. Yeah, we were saying earlier, this is one of the beautiful investments that you can work out what you're getting in on and how you're going to get out multiple ways, 1, 2, or 3 ways before you even get into the deal. You do all of this before you even get into the deal. This is exactly what I'll be teaching tomorrow, no, Wednesday for free, Heidi. So you want to get registered. There's a link in the comments here. Register. This is just some of the secrets, some of the ways of how to use other people's time, other people's money, and other people's experience, and how much or how little of the process do you actually want to be a part of. But you're still you're still building your portfolio, you're still generating income. People say, I haven't got time, I haven't got money, I don't know how to do it. It's all garbage. I'm sorry to just bring it on the chin to people, but like, it's all an excuse. You can do this, just depends how much you actually want to do, how much you actually want to learn about it. But ultimately what it comes down to, there is a specific formula and framework that we use, Heidi, that is how to find the deal, how to work numbers out quickly, test the viability of it before. And by the way, we were doing this years ago, let alone since you're not allowed to leave your house for unless you got a real reason. Yeah. But like, before you even leave the house, before I even put my shoes on, to even think about leaving the door, there's a whole due diligence process that's done super quick. We would love to not just talk about it with you. I would love to go through it with you, because we're going to be doing that on the 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. There's a 3-day virtual event called Real Life Property Secrets Exposed. We literally go through it with you. There's our coaches, there's trainers, there's our lead coaches that are all going to be there helping people through this process, doing it live. I think talk is cheap. Yeah, I believe in doing the real business and doing it. So there's a whole process that you won't just learn about it and then go home and do it. Number one, you're already going to be at home, so there's no going home. Yeah, but number two is, when people are left to just do it for the first time, and there's the fear and there's the worry and there's things that go wrong, and oh, you never mentioned this or you never mentioned that, people just don't do it. That's why we do the work on the program, in the training. This isn't about looking at the treadmill from the other side of the room, talking about how wonderful the treadmill might be if you got on it. No. This is get your sweatpants on, jump on the treadmill, hit go, start running, and then let's figure out what moves we have to make after. That's my 2 pence worth for that answer.
Sounds good. Don't have anything to add.
Here's another question. How long does it take to get initial drawings and building regs on average? Is there anything a client can do to help with the process? Have clear communication. That's what you can do as a client.
Yes, definitely. And to be fair, giving us as much, I mean, it's usually worth having a proper hours-long phone call or whatever it is to just go through those initial sketches and saying, right, I'm thinking of having hanging pendants either side of the bed, or I'm thinking of having a built-in wardrobe here, or I'm thinking of having this type of flooring, or all those little bits that you've probably got, you might even have on a specification already, sharing all that with us. And, Sam, you're a great client anyway. So it's, building up that relationship as well and knowing what you're going for next time and the time after always speeds things up anyway, because we know what sort of service you're wanting to provide, and we can help with you to do that. So, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. What was another question? I don't think there was another question. I think someone was just commenting, useless councils, blaming things. Things are moving. I've taken action to pass it on. Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, good. So what we were saying, we were talking before when we just went live, Adam committed wholeheartedly that he's going to be at Real Life Property Secrets Exposed, because he's been to our trainings before and he knows that no matter what deals he's doing, no matter what experience he's got, there's always more that can be done. So the question is, for anybody watching right now, what is it more that you would like to do? Is it more deals? Put it in the comments. Like, who's looking for deals, or who's looking for a process for deals? Who's looking for the next phase, which is pretty much what we're talking about here, which is making sure schedules of works and plans and specs are all, due diligence is done. So drawdowns can be done, planning application. We can set the stalls out so we know how the rest of the project is going to roll out and all of that. And who's looking to raise some finance? Put it in the comments, guys. What is it you're looking for? It might be something I've not mentioned, but what part of the process is it that you need the most help with? Yeah. And I forgot what I've asked you guys. So rather than say me, you have to say, oh, I'm looking for deals. You have to tell me what it is. So tell me who's looking for deals, who actually needs some deals that work for them, who needs an area, who needs a strategy. Yeah. Who needs some formulas to see how deals work? Who needs to even know what strategies are available to see which ones are the best for them that will give them maximum impact. Yeah. Who wants to do things like, who may be wanting cash flow, who wants big capital returns, who wants both? Hey, you got some admirers here, Adam.
Paul must be loving the hair.
Well, listen, I'm asking what people want. Yeah, and people have said finance, finding deals, and Paul says Adam. So he wants Adam. Yeah, I personally think that setting expectations gives the team members the right instructions. Yeah, usually ask them, Adam. Yeah. Good, excellent. Yeah, exactly right. Thank you very much. Good interaction here, guys. So look, for people who are super ready, I'm telling you, the place to be probably for the year is going to be at the end of this month, 22, 23, 24, which is Real Life Property Secrets Exposed. I promise you, there has never been an online event, an online virtual event, there's going to be anything that's going to allow people to hone in on what their goals are, the strategy that's going to give them impact to get that, the areas to invest in, how to actually set these investments up no matter where you are in the country, because we've got people in Europe doing it. We've got people all over the place. We've got people in Spain. We've got people in Sweden, Luxembourg, Belgium, Germany. They're all doing it. Some in the UK, some in their hometowns. And then how to work the numbers out, how to not even leave your house until you've got deals on the table. Yeah. And then how to raise the money to fund these deals using either time, experience, or money of other people. This is the place to do it. If you want a bit of a taster of the property market, you might not be full blown in there, then I would suggest that you rock and roll with us on Wednesday. This Wednesday, we're going to be going through the secrets to become a successful property investor. Because let's face it, many people have tried, many people have not delivered or made the money that they want to make, or they think it's one way and it turns out to be another way, and all the rest of it. So I want to give you some cold hard truths on how this game works, the mistakes. I want to tell you about the project that was supposed to take less than a year that's nearly took 2 years. I want to tell you about the projects where we were supposed to make 50k profit and we messed everything up. We were just about to sell it, and up on exchange we needed the sign off from building control, and then we found out building control. Oh yeah, let me just get that building control sign off for you. And then we realized we haven't even notified building control. And then we had to drill holes for inspection, for installation. The guy wanted us to put some this is just a house. This is like a 3-bedroom house. He wanted like commercial fire alarm and, 2 doors put in at the bottom of the stairs and double boarding under this. It's crazy because they just threw the book at us. So what I want you guys to realize is you don't want to go through all of this pain. You want to know what are the principles that you need to look out for to make sure. By the way, we still made 14 grand in that project. So, some people don't even make that money when they do it right, or their version of right. So we got it totally wrong and still made 14k. So there's ways to make big money very quickly, and there's ways to build long-term wealth. So let's make this happen. Yeah, let's make this happen. Either get yourself onto the 3-day program, or get yourself to the couple of hours on Wednesday evening. Yeah, whatever this, what's the date on Wednesday? 11, 12, 13. Oh yeah, 13 is everybody's lucky number. Yeah, it's the 13th of January. Yeah, everybody's lucky number. So get onto that bad boy and then come and see what it's all about. And maybe we'll be seeing you on there. Also, if you fancy it, I'm speaking at a virtual event on Saturday with Robert Kiyosaki, who's going to be talking about all kind of things, wealth, There's some other big superstars as well. It's called Masters of Wealth. I'm really looking forward to that. Add some more value to some people. But ultimately, if you haven't started to make it already, this is the year of opportunity.
Definitely.
Opportunity. Last recession, big moves and big companies were made. So what's super awesome is the real life tribe right now. You guys have got a mastermind. We will be notifying, because I know everybody's not going to be seeing this, but real life tribe next week, Adam is going to be inside the mastermind in our private area. He's going to be answering any questions you got, but also showing you live some floor plans, answering questions, giving you ideas how to maximize space, and any questions that you guys are going to have around the application process or planning or drawings or whatever it might be, just what that process is. And just brainstorming ideas of how to actually be better at the process on both sides. The giving of the communication and the receiving of the communication. Yeah, because ultimately both sides have got to take responsibility for both sides. You can't just say, well, I did what I did and they didn't do what they did. You got to take responsibility for both sides. Yeah, you've got to communicate well, communicate clear. So once we do that, then we'll get into the technical stuff, which will be next week, guys. So if you're looking forward to that, put it in the comments, give me a tag. So I know you're excited about that. Adam, you're going to have some nice, sexy stuff for us prepared next week?
Absolutely. Looking forward to sharing it with everyone.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for being on here. I got one more question for you, although we're running just a little bit over. I still got to ask it because, you know, amongst all this stuff and answering these questions, I'll tell you one of the things that we can never let the people forget, and that is that they must do the right thing for the right reason. Now, why is that?
You're asking me? Why? What was the question?
They must do the right thing for the right reason. Now, why is that?
Well, for the better of humankind and to provide better living accommodation for everyone. I knew I should have checked up on this.
Hey, I like to see what people say anyway, but we have a saying in the real life tribe that we say, and I want to hear it from you afterwards, but we say you got to do the right thing for the right reason, because it's the only way that you're going to discover your true potential. So we've got to do the right thing for the right reason, Adam. Why is that?
So you can discover your true potential.
Yes, baby. This has been Real Life Money Monday. Thank you for joining us. We will see you again very soon. Much love, everybody.
Thanks very much, Mark. Cheers.
You are welcome.